Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. So, we have an article today from Bleeding Phil. Now, I'm a big fan of Bleeding Phil as a website. I think they're really good and they have fan interests at heart. And we have an article here from Ichi Baka, and Ichi Baka is a fan of Star Wars particularly, and he is the head of the website Disney Star Wars is Dumb. So Ichi Baka has done some excellent reporting in the past, and I think this is a really lovely piece of reporting as well too on Jon Favreau. So Star Wars outlier Jon Favreau attempts to reverse course. Now, for people who don't know, Jon Favreau is responsible for The Mandalorian. So easily the best piece of Star Wars material that has come out under the Disney banner, and this man was front and center of it. I know people had their issues with The Mandalorian. Personally, I think it was back to basics. It was very easy. It was back to George Lucas's original thoughts, which is father and son stories. Very basic, but works, and it's a tried and trusted formula, and it really does garner attention then from the fans. For many people who are unsure as to who Jon Favreau is in his past endeavours, he is responsible for the MCU. He was the writer and the director for Iron Man. So this guy comes with a serious pedigree, and he is the man that stood up for Robert Downey Jr. at the time. The company wanted Billy Bob Thornton as Iron Man, and Jon Favreau absolutely said, "No way, I want Robert Downey Jr." Robert Downey Jr. came in, gave an audition of his life, won the role. The rest is history. So I trust in Jon Favreau and his judgment, and I think unfortunately for him, studio interference really, kind of wrecked Iron Man 2 for him, because he had some very good story beats that are very widely known through what he said in the past and through the behind the scenes, and unfortunately a lot of it seemed to be interfered with the studio. So once the studio doesn't interfere with him here, I think this man could be the future for Star Wars personally. So Pirates and Princesses is reporting on a story from Deadline in which Jon Favreau made the following comments. We wanted to really wind it back to the things that inspired the original Star Wars and really get it small in scale and tell simple stories, because part of what you inherit when you're going to see Star Wars now is this whole story, because the stories have been told for decades, and it was nice with a new medium to be able to start with a new set of characters to introduce a new audience. But we always knew, and this is something I learned from over at Marvel and working with Kevin Feige, is you always want to keep the core fans in mind, because they have been the ones that have been keeping the torch lit for many, many years. But these are also stories for young people and for new audiences. These are myths, and so you always want to have an outstretched hand to people who might not have that background. And so you're really telling two stories at once. You're telling the story for the people who are fresh eyes, and you're telling the story for the people who've been there with the property and with the stories and the characters for so many years. And make sure you're honouring them as well. So again, fan service, it's important, especially with old, decades old properties. We've seen what spitting in the face of fans does over the last number of years with the likes of The Last Jedi and then The Rise of Skywalker. People just not interested, walked away from it. Good luck, we're not coming back. We're seeing it now with Doctor Who, spitting in the face of the history of Doctor Who, and fans just saying, yeah, we're not coming back. Good luck. Ghostbusters was on the brink, I think, as well too, after that 2016 movie, spat in the face of fans. People didn't go and see it. Financial flop. So this is what you're seeing with these properties. So I think maybe Hollywood is starting to realise that they can't keep doing these things. So compare and contrast that with statements made by High Republic author Cavan Scott, who lectured the core fans about respecting the new fans who make entitled demands for representation and other nonsense. New fans joining a fandom are a good thing. It means that your community is growing. Yes, that often means it changes a bit, but change is just part of life. Embrace it. Make new friends. Experience new viewpoints. Enjoy people and falling in love with things you already love. So it says, yes, respect is important and also a two-way street. In my view, no one should tell someone to leave a fandom they love, and by the same token, no one should tell newer fans that they aren't as important because they weren't around at the beginning. Now, I've done a previous video on that with Candice Patton fans in relation to The Flash, and some of the fans that they've attracted for that are absolutely disgusting. So the people that they've attracted for these properties, especially the SJW woke weirdos, are they're very militant, they're horrible to deal with, and they really cling on to things. You're seeing people that are big fans of The Last Jedi. I can't understand, if you're a Star Wars fan, an actual Star Wars fan, how you could actually like anything to do with The Last Jedi. It was absolutely disgraceful in my opinion. And for an old fan, and I'm not that old, I grew up with the prequels, so For me to walk away from that movie absolutely infuriated says something about that movie, I have to say. It's important for everyone to understand that, like all things, stories change and adapt and evolve. Tribalism within fandom in all its forms is damaging and largely unnecessary. Well, that's not right, because people are protective of what they love, and rightly so. They don't want other people like this weirdo coming in and making severe changes, and changes that don't make sense. I mean, we've seen some of the results of that with Cavan Scott's High Republic, with some of the character biographies that we've gotten are absolutely disgraceful. Like Avar Chris, the best is Avar, is apparently the idea going for it, and then all the cooks that are around. It's unbelievable. It says not everyone in the same is the same, and yet they come together because of their love for the same thing. Well, that's not true, because The Last Jedi divided an awful lot amount of people, and by the time Rise of Skywalker came out, half the audience that were turned up for the Force Awakens had left. So that says it all. So we got getting a flat tire as a change too, but that's an unwelcome change. So not all change is de facto good, rendering all platitudes about accepting change entirely worthless. Sometimes the new viewpoints are simply garbage, which is why so many of the core fans have walked away. Absolutely brilliant point, and like I said, you can see it in the numbers itself. From The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker, the trilogy, the trajectory of it went downwards. Usually a trilogy, maybe the middle film might not earn as much, but certainly the last part of the trilogy earns the most. And let's not forget, this is Star Wars. This is a decades old franchise, whereas the MCU made easily, I think, 2 billion for Endgame. Star Wars didn't touch it; it scraped a billion. And I mean, let's let's look at that logically. The MCU has been around for in and around 10 years, 12 years, and that made 2 billion easily. That shouldn't be the case with Star Wars. Star Wars should be absolutely smashing records, in my opinion. It should be having as big a franchise and as big a fan base now more than ever, but it's just served to annoy fans, and as a result we've seen it scraping a billion. And people will say, oh, that's a success that it got a billion. Yeah, of course, but it's a success that it got a billion, but it's not a success overall when it's the end of the Skywalker saga, and most of the fan base said no thanks, we're not interested. So we go back to the article that says that's what's really important to understand. Or how about the comments from the official Star Wars artist for Tops, who felt that the new fans were the most passionate, having been a passionate fan for about 5 nanoseconds. So Jordan Moisan says, real talk, I've never understood the mentality that how much you know about a subject is equal to your love passion for it. What? I mean, I know loads about Spider-Man, I know loads about Iron Man, and I clearly love the characters. Oh my god. I mean, I have a deep knowledge of some horrifying ish for my job, but I damn sure don't enjoy it. Okay, well, that's, projection really. Couple that with the idea that kids can have the same enthusiasm for something because they don't have the same encyclopedic knowledge as older fans. Well, that's not true either, because the thing is that kids do have very big enthusiasm. They don't have big enthusiasm for this new stuff. And let's not forget as well that kids are more drawn to digital now, digital games and stuff. So physical media is kind of going away for them, which is sad to see, the likes of toys and stuff like that. So again, that's not going to hold their interest for too long. So by the time some people do get through, it's very, very minute, I think, at the moment, with the amount of kids that actually will follow this stuff through to adulthood. So again, they only purchase stuff for a significant amount of time and then it goes away, whereas adult collectors are there all the time. So that should be your main focus, because they're the ones with the money, I suppose. That's just dumb. I think I was most passionate about Star Wars when I was a kid and discovering it for the first time. Well, I'd say most people, especially in my view, like with the prequels, were probably most passionate when they were a kid, because again, since then it's not been great. I mean, everything that Lucas has done, particularly with the video games, was excellent, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was excellent, but the movies have been nothing to be passionate about. They've actually been pretty repulsive, in my opinion. I would argue that the newest generation of Star Wars fans are the most passionate of all, unburdened with the minutiae of lore. They get to experience everything fresh and with the unbridled joy that only comes from that ignorance. It's all new to them, and there's a lot. Like I said, it's going to be a flavor of the month thing. I don't know anybody that's seen the recent Star Wars movies and that's super passionate and super hyped about them, other than a few weirdos on Twitter. And it, most people that I encounter, they don't even talk about it. my father grew up with Star Wars when it was the pinnacle of technology, when it was something that was incredible. He had absolutely no interest in going to see the Last Jedi, and he had absolutely no interest in watching the Rise of Skywalker. And I don't think he still hasn't seen it. So that goes to show that even your older fan base are just going, "No, I'm not interested." I'm not saying the kids aren't interested in this, but like I said, it's a fleeting moment, and then they move on then to the next big thing. So clearly there's a different mindset among the bottom feeders at Lucasfilm. Thanks to Clownfish TV who comments, OG Star Wars comments. So great YouTube channels there, Clownfish TV. I definitely have seen some of their stuff before. I really enjoy what they do. And OG Star Wars as well. Excellent to see that the OG people are coming out and supporting this move. I think Favreau needs as much support as he can get. If it was me, I'd be making him president of Lucasfilm now, immediately. He would be running everything. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he has a good savvy mind to understand that fans want good storytelling. They don't want woke SJW nonsense. There didn't seem to be any of it in the first season of The Mandalorian. I would be concerned about season 2 of The Mandalorian, and I know that they're currently saying that they're going to start filming season 3. So we know already that Ahsoka Tano is coming into season 2, as it seems. And again, I'm very, very worried about the implication of Dave Filoni hanging around with the recent comments that have come to light with him. So it's all hands on decks now, I think, for fans. If they want Star Wars to be saved, I think Jon Favreau is the man to do it. I think he is the man that should be running the whole process of things, and he should be the one that's pulling in directors and writers that are going to really be interested in this brand and are really going to push it forward, rather than doing what Kathleen Kennedy has been doing, which is chopping and changing, losing people left, right, and centre. And she's also, her stars of her movies are critically unhappy. We've seen Anthony Daniels that was severely unhappy. We've seen John Boyega, who I'm no fan of, but he is very unhappy with how his things panned out. We've seen Oscar Isaac in the past saying he'd never return to Star Wars again, no matter how much they paid him. I mean, that says an awful lot. We've got Adam Driver, who I don't think mentions this stuff whatsoever, even though this could have been like the biggest part of his career. And again, he's a phenomenal actor, but he doesn't seem to mention this stuff at all. And then, obviously, last but absolutely very not least, is Mark Hamill. And the disrespect with which Mark Hamill was treated within this trilogy is absolutely unbelievable. That the man who headed the original trilogy was relegated to 2 minute cameos and ridiculousness. That was the state of that trilogy. Now we've heard rumors in the past that there's going to be basically a time jump, or there's going to be some sort of time influenced time travel that's going to wipe away that trilogy. Good. I think that should probably happen. And I think if anyone's going to do it, I think Favreau would work out a way to do it that would make sense and would actually honour the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy as well. So like I said, I think this man is the man to do it. I think Hollywood should start following suit in what Jon Favreau's talking about, in that yes, he is trying to bring new fans in, but you do have to respect the old fans, and you do have to create things for the old fans, because the old fans are ones with a lot of money to spend on this property, and B, they are extremely passionate and they want to see good material, and they want this franchise to stay alive. They do not want to see it dying. I mean, we're seeing Star Trek practically dying before our eyes. We're seeing Doctor Who practically die before our eyes. Star Wars is next if this doesn't get fixed very quickly, and I think if he's not put input as the new Lucasfilm president, I think it's curtains for Disney, and I think it's curtains for Lucasfilm. Anyway, gonna leave it there. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Good luck.